So, Echo.
Thank you for vamping while I finished my ice cream.
You're
Absolutely.
welcome. I did my best.
Um, and I'll go ahead and do a little bit of description as well while you're finishing up.
Mhm.
So you sort of stagger off to find a place to lie down. Hyacinth's house is pretty big. Go ahead.
He's not actually looking for a place to lie down. He's looking for a room that has a mirror in it.
Okay. So
His excuse was he needed to go lie down,
got
and
it.
he does truly need to go lay down, but he's looking for a mirror.
Got it. That's not too difficult to find. We'll say there's a full length mirror, not in the library that's pictured, but somewhere nearby. I just wanted an
In a
excuse to use
den
this
or
image.
something. Yeah. Yeah, so he'll go into the room and close the door if he can, and then he'll go over to the mirror and he'll look in it for a little bit. He knows he looks like shit right now. Looks a little bit at the weird burns around his eyes and shakes his head, and he shakes out his hands and he tries to cast disguise self on himself to make him look like a mortal form of Tamora. Like he has before, he did it back in Waterdeep. And as he goes to cast this spell, he does all the hand movement rights, he says the right word, and nothing happens. And he opens his eyes and he looks at the mirror and he still looks the same. He takes a deep breath and he slower this time goes through the hand motions and says the mystic words and casts it and opens his eyes and it didn't work again. And he'll try to cast this spell.
During the third attempt at the cast, you begin to sort of see this silvery glow arise around you that definitely does not come from you. And as you continue to try to cast it, this silvery glow sort of envelops you. The mirror disappears, the room disappears, and you're in an empty but brightly lit area. And standing before you is possibly the most gorgeous elf you've ever seen. I'm gonna go ahead and put a image up if I can find it, and I'm gonna do that before I switch over to there.
Does he recognize this elf?
In a moment. There we
Mhm.
go. There we go.
Oh my, if only it would load. There we go.
So, this incredibly beautiful, long, straight silver hair. She's holding a staff that has a crescent moon heading it. And she's wearing this sort of white, flowing dress and cape, and wearing a golden crown on her head. And
Does he recognize her?
give me a I don't know what kind of check this would be. Give me a history check. So this is intelligence, not wisdom based.
Okay. We get Echo's sheet up here. Charlotte kicked enough ass. Let me see. History?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm.
You think she looks like a queen, maybe?
He looks at her and he looks around behind him at like this weird silvery mist.
She exudes calmness and welcome. You can go ahead and make an insight check if you would like.
I will, but at disadvantage because Echo, before the silvery mist appeared, he's on the edge of a panic attack.
Yes.
So I'll take disadvantage on that insight.
Ooh, that's too bad on the disadvantage. But you do manage to keep yourself from completely spiraling with a 10.
Mm-hmm.
She smiles at you, and again, you get the feeling that this person is old. You get the feeling this person is very, very old. And she looks down at you and she says, "Not who I was expecting." Oh.
Should I know who you are or where we are?
They usually called me Illustrial.
Illustrial. Okay.
I am something of a wizard, and I felt some amazingly powerful magic very recently in this area, and I had an interest, and I wanted to see who cast it. And I have to admit, you are not who I was expecting. Again, she is not saying this in a condescending way. Like, she is
No, just in
curious
kind
and
of like,
overjoyed.
okay.
Yeah.
Echo's just standing there, like he is visibly still, looks like he's sick, looks like he's feverish and tired and hasn't slept well in 2 weeks. He's
Will
just gonna be staring up at her and being like, I don't know what you want from me. I did cast some magic earlier today. Yes.
and now you find yourself unable.
You saw that? You saw that. Yeah, it's just maybe I just used too much earlier. I haven't done this kind of thing before.
She looks sort of curiously at the scarring on your face.
It was a lot.
I can well imagine. This is magic that even I would hesitate at channeling through. You did a very good thing, and I think you know that. Do you know that?
How do you know that?
If I said it's magic, would that be sufficient?
I would not have a good follow-up answer, so I guess yeah. Are you here? Am I still standing in the room that I was standing in before, or have you moved me somewhere else?
Technically, neither of us are here. You are still staring in the mirror. But time is different. Here, this will only take a moment.
Okay. What is this?
You and your friends have drawn the attention of many. The beacon of magic that was just in this area, I will not be the only one who noticed it. So I wished to give you some advice. That is all. I require nothing of you, though I understand why you would ask. The first piece of advice is that I have seen this item or an item of its kind used in the past. Your magic will return. You simply need to rest. There are more difficult days in front of you. I'm sorry, I'm so rude. I didn't ask your name.
And he hesitates for a second, and then he tells her, Eckhart.
Eckhart. You find yourself at the center of many great events. And things are going to get very difficult for you going forward, both in the short term and in the long term. This much I've seen. But I want you to know that you and yours are not without allies. Those of us who have been paying attention see what good you have been to how many people and wish you success, even if we can't step out of the shadows ourselves. She pulls a small token, a small wooden token, out of her pocket
Mm-hmm.
and hands it to you in this psychic realm.
Mm-hmm.
It
Does it?
has, yeah, it's a two-sided wooden coin.
Mm-hmm.
On one side, it has a spire that you may recognize as one of the main buildings in Silvery Moon, and on the other, there is a stylized harp.
He doesn't recognize either of those symbols.
And she says, if you present this token to any of the guards in Silvery Moon, they will know where to take you. You have friends. There is an organization that can help you learn what you need to learn and can help you move quickly. They are not an order that I am directly affiliated with, but I think they might just be right up your alley. Have you heard of the Harpers?
Like like musicians?
Some, but also performers, poets, gymnasts.
I I mean, I know all of those professions, but I don't know what bee harpers would be.
If you will permit a very old lady to be mystic, I suggest you follow up on this. Find out what kind of an organization it is on your own instead of taking my word, and decide if it's something or someone whose help you might be interested in.
So is this a one-time meet and greet chat sort of thing, or should I be expected to be transported to misty psychic places often?
Normally, and she looks a little bit sheepish, normally I would normally I would ask for permission before something along these lines, but you were not able to hear me.
So if you do want to chat again, I would hear you.
Yes. And
Okay.
though I am not on this plane often, you can also reach out to me for assistance where possible.
Illustrial. Yes?
Go ahead and roll me another history check. Take advantage on this one now that you've got a name.
Okay. Um,
18. Okay, so what you get is this woman was for centuries the ruler of Silvery Moon,
Hmm.
and also on an 18, you also know she is an incredibly powerful mage.
Oh, Illustrial Silver Moon. I saw a play about Silver Moon at some point. You were the actress who was playing you was very good. Um,
They got the hair wrong.
well, I mean, no offense, but like, I can't see your hair right now. What were they supposed to work off of? Sorry, that's getting into technicalities of costuming and um. Okay, so you'll call sometimes, and I should see what these Harpers are about and be wary that other people sensed the really powerful magic I did.
If you can
Okay.
find my last piece of advice
Mm-hmm.
before I leave you, we are.
Mm-hmm.
She looks at a timepiece on her wrist. Find a way to shield yourself from magical scrutiny. If you wish to act in secret, that is a necessity now. You have eyes on you. Assume you are being watched at all times.
That's horrifying.
Some do it for an advantage, some do it for entertainment. But groups like yours draw a lot of eyes. And I think you knew that when you walked into the arena.
Fuck. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I knew that. Um,
Now, because I've put you at in such an awkward position, and I hope that as a DM, I hope that Echo's beginning to feel himself calm down a little bit.
a little bit like being
Not a lot,
mystified
but
by what is going on is like taking the forefront.
have you a question that I or my magic can answer for you?
um, there's a lot that I would like to know. But oh, gosh, there's a lot I would like to know about a lot of different things, but I think what would be most useful is who's leading the orcs in the north?
This I will
The ones
discover.
that are the ones that are occupying the stone tooth.
This I will discover, and you shall have your answer. These things may take time, but I will discover your answer.
Thank you.
The silvery mist begins to thicken again. And as she begins to fade from sight, you hear the echoing voice once more say, "And remember, for better or worse, you are never alone." And you find yourself looking at your reflection again, which seems a little bit sharper. You feel a little bit more centered. You still can't cast, but you feel like that exhaustion has lifted just a fraction.
Is he still holding the wooden token?
In fact, he's not, but it's a quick check of a pocket of your choice to find that, yeah, there's a token in there.
He is going to look at it, put it back, look at himself in the mirror. I'm gonna make a wisdom check real quick.
Go for it.
I'm gonna take. He is still very tired. I'm gonna take disadvantage on this, just for real quick sees.
An
Yeah.
8.
He's gonna look at the mirror, and despite what he just heard, he's gonna try to cast the spell one more time. And when it doesn't work, he's gonna shatter the mirror with a blow. And then he's gonna lay down right next to the shattered glass and try to sleep in the middle of this den.
Let's go ahead and jump back to everyone else. So you've kicked Sven out.
Charlotte had a very nice time talking wizard shop, maid shop with him as she's walking him off the property.
and honestly, it's one of those things where, like, anybody who's ever gotten deeply into literally anything, like, when you talk with that person, you're talking a different language, right? You're using words that just normal people who aren't nerds about magic or LARP or D&D or whatever just don't comprehend because they don't have the vocabulary for it. So you have a very, very lovely magical conversation as you're exiting.
Can you talk to an autistic person about their hyperfocus?
Let's first off check in with each of you. We already know what Charlotte's doing. You're geeking out with Sven at the moment. In the immediate aftermath of kicking Sven out, Calder, what are you up to?
Just deep breath. Snaps his fingers to prestidigitation to clean himself.
Doesn't smell like ozone anymore.
Dust kicks off, hair settles.
You're outside when you do this, yes?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. Hyacinth's like, wipe off your tracks before you come in the house.
I
No shoes in the
apologize for
house. Squack, squack, squack.
I do apologize for my outburst earlier, Hyacinth. It is very good to see you.
Yeah. So I've taken up meditating. Do you want to try it?
I just learned of Charlotte taking up sparring, and we may have caused some limited damage to the sand in your fighting pit.
Yeah, I've done it a few times. She's super observant.
Yeah, she is. And yeah, it was just a long trip, and I am simultaneously very, very happy and very relieved, and just very angry at myself. So I'm just trying to distract myself at this point.
If you want to be
That's
angry at someone, you should really be angry at me. I am the one who sent
Oh.
you there.
Oh,
If I had not done so...
Barnabas, trust me, I am very capable of being angry at multiple people at the same time.
Hyacinth is just gonna like drape an arm over Barnabas and goes, "You know, martyr complexes, not a good look."
I'm a dwarf. I'm a
I-
dwarf from a failing
Statement stands.
citadel.
Oh no.
Oh, could be worse.
Don't have a martyr complex about it. It's stupid. It
Barnabas,
will
have you ever
seriously
considered that the
hinder
reason
your
why
ability to leave.
Barnabas, have you ever considered that maybe having a martyr complex while underpopulated is not the wisest survival strategy?
Yes. Speaking of survival strategy,
I have a therapist too. Would you like to meet them?
Yes, those orcs.
and also yes to the therapist.
Awesome. I'm gonna give him a like a letter to my mom.
One
Like
of the
just
benefits.
I will write him a letter of introduction so that therapy can happen. The offer is extended to you to...
Is your mom willing to talk to me? I can't really. I can never keep track.
Yeah, as long as you don't try to sleep with her.
I would never do that. I don't know why people insist.
I have look. You wouldn't be the first if you did try, and you wouldn't be the last if you did.
I admit I went through a fuckboy phase like most fucking people do in that court, but I haven't done that since it
Barnabas
happened.
Barnabas looks confused for a moment at the unfamiliar word, but he doesn't ask.
Oh, Hyacinth will look and go, "It's like Rent Boy."
I haven't
That doesn't clear things
done
up.
any of that. I haven't done any of that since Zale died.
Yeah. But I'm sure that if she can't help, she knows someone who can. The Hyacinth will just like turn the page in the notebook and then just continue writing this letter of introduction for the two of these people.
I also might want to. I also should send letters back home. By now, Father will have heard that I killed a red wizard, and that will have complications down the line.
You could always just fake your death. So much easier.
It won't help.
It's a time-honored dwarven tradition, really.
Never mind. I mean, well, hold up. Pause. Are you telling me, Barnabas, that every dwarf is a coward?
No, it's just that some...
It's just you.
Well, on occasion, yes.
You are one of the few dwarfs that I know that would not take that as a killing word.
He sort of rubs at the vine scars on his arms, and he says, "I've learned much since meeting all of you. Humility is one of those qualities."
Humility helps. Fear is a friend if you let it. It'll tell you when you're endangered, it will tell you to be cautious, and if you can hone that instinct, it will save you. But it's a poor master.
I'm just gonna add notes to the introduction of Barnabas section.
This army of orcs is not going to be content with the Stone Tooth.
Do we know what tribe they are?
There are many tribes acting together in a way that hasn't happened since the Many Arrows incident.
So they're traveling. Are they coming south because the treaty stops them from moving west?
We suspect that they are coming south because of the Stone Tooth. They have magic at their call, which allowed them to predict the opening of the forge just as magicians all over the continent did.
Are we
Oh,
expecting them to be also moving west as well?
So far, their movement has been solely towards setting up camp at the Stone Tooth. They have not spread beyond that aside from raiding parties. Raiding parties we can expect to go west, yes.
moving
Okay,
west
so
means
no,
fighting
let
bat.
me.
Moving west means fighting
Sorry,
Icewind Dale
DM.
battle hammers.
Clarification. Silvery Moon is to the east of Stone Tooth.
Yes.
Yes.
Hyacinth is
correct.
asking if they're coming like from the spine of the world through the silver marshes.
Oh, where are they coming from? Is that what you're? Oh, okay.
Yeah, kind of like do we
Got it.
expect them like they're coming south from the spine of the
They're-
world, but are we
yes.
also expecting them like to come down and over as well?
I see what you mean. And the first thing that he will say is, so far they've not, but Mirabar could be in danger as well. Yes, their numbers are such that they could pose a threat to that town.
Town. Mirabar's a huge city.
Mirabar is
Yeah.
not a. Mirabar will not be an easy. Would not be an easy city to take.
But they are thousands.
Not unless they manage to get their hands on the forge.
Do they have the talent to use it?
That remains to be seen. He manages to keep the contempt out of his voice for the sake of those who don't want him to be racist. But like it's behind a wall. He's controlling it, but it's not there. He says there may be some who can. Orcs can be every bit as talented as anyone else.
They're also probably not the only factions in play. We found Dwargar when we went there for the first time.
And if some outside force is controlling or influencing these orcs, which we have not yet determined, then perhaps they have their own smiths. Perhaps even dwarves. Perhaps even Dwerger. We need more intelligence.
Do we know? Do you know if any dwarf or any person has sent any kind of inquiry to the Many Arrows tribe to see if they have the endorsement? Many Arrows would have to. There's no way Many Arrows wouldn't have an opinion on this many orcs moving.
He cocks his head as though the thought hadn't occurred to him, and he says, "No, not that I know of." He sort of nods, like, "Yeah, that makes sense."
Last I heard, Many Arrows is reasonable at least.
Yes, 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 he is. And you're right. If nothing else, the actions of one dwarf reflect on all dwarves. The actions of this band or army of orcs would reflect on him as well.
If they have his endorsement, we know the scope of how far this movement reaches, and if he doesn't have their endorsement, we know that they must have some sort of outside urging.
Yes. I lack the resources to contact him directly.
But you have connection to the other clans, right?
I do.
Then why not send word to the Battlehammer?
He will honor the old alliance, even though I may have been my clan may be shrinking. He will honor the old alliance that was forged.
Yeah. Last I heard, King Brunner is. Let's face it, he's a crass and angry old man, but he's extremely good at what he does, which is ruling dwarves. So.
And Lady Illustrial has always been a great go-between between the clans.
Well, that will take care of the diplomatic end and figuring out where Many Arrows will stand on it. But if that doesn't stop the fact that they are at the Stone Tooth. We don't know if they've taken it yet. We believe that, but there's no reason to assume that they haven't.
Give me a history check really quick, Calder. Go ahead and take advantage on it.
Can I roll it too?
Yes.
What the fuck was that?
You closed the door and now you can't get out. My cat is sad that he can't get out of my room now.
Have you thought that maybe he wants the door open all the time forever?
Yes, but he was the one that closed it. It was open.
That sounds like a him problem.
So, you know, Illustrial, I mean, it's a fairly famous person. So assuming it's the same Illustrial, you know about the Queen of Silvery Moon. You also know that most kind of assume that she died.
Mm-hmm.
But like a second half of thought is like, yeah, but wizard, right? Like, how often do wizards really die? Especially wizards that are also elves.
Like the last time a wizard definitively died, it was in Fae, and it happened like 30 goddamn times. So
Yeah.
and it was the same wizard all 30 times. That's why it was all 30 of them.
Just gonna step away for a second.
The story of the Fae Civil War is hilarious.
He's starting to run around, and I do not need him messing with any of my cords. Okay, it's happened before. It has ended streams. So yes, so you get a little bit of information. You think, oh yeah, Illustrial. And then Hyacinth, you got a 9. You're aware of the name, but like, I mean,
I know who Illustrial is.
Silvery Moon's right over there. Like you know, she's not the current leader of Silvery Moon because again, most people are kind of assume she's dead.
So Hyacinth's like land area space is on the edge of the Silver Marches.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there's relations there depending on which of the kingdoms that they're actually attached to. It's more of a like, oh, we got to know. If it's the neighbors, we got to know the neighbors. If it's like, part of it, then we got to know. So there's relations, but it's like you don't need to get in depth.
After this, or is there any more conversation we want to have before I move us on? Because we're gonna at some point someone's gonna be like, "Hey, where's Echo at?"
Hey, where's Echo at?
Yeah.
Because you saw Meepo and Lauren and Clarion go off, but at some point Echo just drifted off, and everyone's kind of, no, I haven't seen him since, before the end of breakfast, I believe, or right at the end of breakfast. Hey, Echo. No answer.
No Echo.
No Echo.
Yeah, I've got a quick question before. I mean, they're eventually gonna. He wasn't trying to like hide his tracks or anything. If they go looking around, they're gonna find, like, opening doors. They're gonna find the den where he was. A question, DM. Echo tries to fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
His usual mode of seeing and interacting with Tamora is in his dreams.
Yes.
Does he see her?
Yes, actually. I will say that he does. Is he attempting to communicate something specific with her, or is this just a general vibe check?
If she appears, if it's one of the dreams where she is, he will attempt to talk to her.
Okay.
And I understand the dream might get cut short if someone comes into the room and is like, Echo, what's with all this broken glass?
Totally.
But he will, if he sees her there, he will try to move closer to her in the dream space. And he'll ask, what did I do wrong? Why didn't it work the way it was supposed to?
You get not words, but you get an overwhelming feeling of forgiveness isn't quite the right word. It's more of you did nothing wrong, feeling. It's an absolution, but it's not an absolution like I forgive you for the thing that you did. It is a feeling of what occurred, and it was not your fault. You get a second wave of just Tamara's. She's a fairly empathetic and compassionate god. Is that right, or goddess?
She's chaotic good. She's the goddess of adventuring.
Okay.
She's been a godly patron to
Good.
adventurers.
I just want to make sure I'm not going wildly out of character.
Yeah. She's a trickery goddess, but for good.
Yeah. So you get a feeling of absolution, though you're allowed to take. It's not replacing your own feelings, right? And you get a feeling of not pity, but sympathy. You get the feeling that this being, who may or may not have always been a god, has an idea of how you feel here. Like, you get this sense of empathy, like self-inflicted failure is something even gods feel from time to time. And then you're filled with determination, to quote Undertale. You find yourself again feeling this overwhelming wave of the need to press forward and do what's right, and then the dream fades. You don't get any words, just very powerful emotions that you recognize are from without.
Yeah.
You just close the door again. Okay. And
the real trickery goddess.
And you come to.
Do you want to come to something peaceful or something like frantic?
Come on, give me an investigation check. Who finds Echo?
Let's do it. I'm gonna even make one for Barnabas. He's at a -1 on investigation. So we will say that Calder finds him first. Calder, you find Echo in I think it's a drawing room or some sort, maybe an art room that has a mirror, that had a mirror. The mirror is shattered, and Echo is curled up on the floor, looking like he's trying to sleep.
Knuckles bloody.
Come here.
Immediately rushes to Echo's side and tries to we'll try a medicine to determine if he's okay.
Let's see what you can figure out.
Okay.
It rolled a 16, but it's not showing up on my end.
I don't see it either.
Yeah.
Maybe
sometimes it takes a little bit to hit.
It does.
Yeah. But I rolled a d20 and it came up a 16.
Okay. I believe you.
Yeah.
So medicine check, is Echo alive? Okay. Is this something is this passed out from exhaustion or curled up and took a nap?
He wasn't knocked out. He didn't suffer a blow to the head or anything. He definitely curled up on his own. Mm-hmm. His knuckles are bloody. He's still got those weird burns around his eyes. He's still you touch him, he's feverish, like he has been. He's not doing great, but he's not no one knocked him the fuck out.
Just looking around the room, is there a basin of water or anything like that?
Yeah, we'll say yes.
There's paint water and there's not paint water.
We'll point at the paint water, turn it clear as normal water, and we'll move it with shape water, and we'll bring it over and just and we'll just gently apply the water to Echo's face.
Yeah, he'll wake up. He's not very deeply asleep.
Wake up.
So Echo wakes up and knows two things immediately. One, he is no longer attuned to the Staff of Resurrection. Two, he was definitely still attuned to it when he laid down. Like after the vision, you came back to yourself, You still had the staff attuned. You went to go to sleep. Now the staff is no longer a part of your mind. It is both an exhilarating freedom and also very concerning.
He just eyes fly open. Fuck! And like sits bolt up,
Yeah.
grabs the backpack off of his back, like pulls the
Yes.
bag of holding out of it, sticks his hand in the bag of holding, and is trying to pull the staff out. Is it there to pull out?
It is nowhere to be found.
Fuck. He just starts crying as he's like throwing other things out of the bag at this point, like just like he knows how the bag works. And
At least one of these items will hit Calder square in the face.
You can turn it inside out and everything will be expelled.
yeah, and he does. The first 5 things, one of them hits Calder, he turns it inside out. It's mostly just
Flipper.
this miscellaneous bullshit. That he just didn't want
But
to
none
carry
of
in his
them is-
bag anymore.
But none of them is a high-end magical relic. So
No. And he's sitting there with the empty bag of holding in his hand, and he looks over at Calder. The staff is gone.
I think we should go ahead and call it right there. Unless you want to do a quick, if you want to do a quick response, Calder.
Camera cuts to outside the mansion to Calder shouting, "Fuck!" And
Birds fly away.